Hi, this is Carl from Virsae, and today we're going to look at customer notifications of alarms from VSM. The prerequisites for customer notifications are the customer will need to have a valid contract set up within VSM. This controls the time of day and day of week that the notifications will be sent. They need to have either the service desk email address or call-out lists populated so that we have a destination for the notifications. We need to have the availability options set appropriately. That basically determines where the alarms will be sent, whether they're going to go to the service desk or whether they're going to go to the call-out lists or both, and whether they're going to get notified as email or SMS or both. We also need to have an alarm rule and a workflow associated with it as well. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at the customer Bagley Inc. as an example, and we're going to go through and set up an alarm rule, and while we're doing that we'll get the opportunity to set up a workflow and also set up a call-out list. And then we're going to go back and look at the availability options and the contract and whether the service desk email address is populated or not, just to ensure everything is correct. So to set up an alarm rule, we're going to click on the customer, then go to Availability Manager, Management, and Alarm Rules. As we can see, there's no alarm rules created yet for Bagley Inc. So down the bottom, we're going to click on the Create Rule button. This loads the new rule template. So at this point we need to give the rule a name. I'm just going to call this one Severity 2 Alarms. And we can choose the call-out group or list to be used. As we can see at the moment, there is no call-out list associated with Bagley Inc. You don't have to have a call-out list if you just want to send these notifications through to a service desk, that's fine. But today we're going to create a new list from within this dialog as well. So we'll click on Create New List and we can give it a name. And I'm just going to call it Call Out List 1. Okay, so this rule is going to activate Call Out List 1. The alarm workflow is the next item to select. If we drop this down, you can see there are no current workflows created yet. So we need to click on the Create New Workflow button. And then we can give this workflow a name. So I'm just going to call it All Severity 2 Alarms. So what this workflow is going to do is it's going to send all Severity 2 alarms out to either the call-out list or to the service desk or to both, depending on how you have it set up in the availability options. Prior to doing this, VSM is going to run its own auto remediation steps against the alarm and wait a period of about 4 to 5 minutes to see if that alarm is cleared or not. If the alarm clears within that period, it's not going to notify it through to the customer. But if the alarm is still active after that period, it will go directly to the customer at that point. So we're going to call this All Severity 2 Alarms. I will use the same thing as the description. And then we can select an alarm template. So we've created a few templates in the back end that you can choose from. The most common ones are going to be the customer major alarm process or the partner major alarm process. So partner applies to the business partner, customer applies to the customer. So we're going to use the customer major alarm process template. So once we've selected that, we hit create and the new template has been used. Okay, the next option we get to is stop processing on match. You have the option of on or off. We want to leave this off. The next item is the rule builder. This is where we get to add expressions that define which alarms we're going to pick up on and notify. If you're used to building filters in VSM's voice quality management or call details area, this will be quite familiar in the way it works. So what we have here is an all expression, which means all of the statements below this will need to be met before that alarm has been matched and before it will activate this workflow. You can change that to an any by double clicking on it, which means if any of the statements match, it will trigger that workflow. For the purpose of today's example and in general for most of the customer notifications at the basic level, we're going to use an all statement. Okay, so we select all. Below here we can see there's a double click to enter expression, and the first expression we're going to add, we'll double click on this, we are going to select the customer. So if we choose from the list, we've got the customer and it's equal to Bagley Inc. and we save that. That means that the alarm has to be for Bagley Inc. At the right-hand side of this line, you'll notice there's a plus, minus, and ellipsis symbol. The plus and minus will add and remove these expression lines, and the ellipsis symbol will give us another line where we can create a subset of all or any commands. I'm going to remove the one that I've just added there, but I am going to add another expression line. So the next line we're going to add is the severity. So this is for a major workflow. We only want severity 2 alarms to be coming through. So we hit severity equal to 2 and save that. We're going to add another line now, and we want to select the item called should be notified. So should be notified needs to be set to true. And then we'll add one more line here as well, which is going to be for our contract hours. If you want it to adhere to the contract hours, then you need to have this set to false. Now that rule is created. We're happy with the expression statements that we've made to this, and now we're going to hit create. We can now see that that alarm rule has been created and is saved within Bagley Inc. So now what we need to do is go back and we need to check that the service desk email address has been populated, that the availability options have been set correctly, and that the call-out list has got some entries in it as well. And we'll also check to see if there's a valid contract. So I'll just go back a couple of steps. There we go. So under Bagley Inc., the first thing we'll check is our contract. So if we go to Bagley Inc. Service Desk Contracts, and we can see that there's a contract here called Coverage of All Equipment. If we expand that out, we can see a contract schedule is in place and it is valid. The end date is in the future. And we can't see which equipment it adheres to, but the name is All Equipment Schedule. So if we want to check that, we can click on the schedule, go to Details, and we can see that the coverage is 24/7 and it's for all of the equipment that's selected there. Okay, so we're happy that the contract is valid. The next thing we want to check are the availability options. So if we click on Bagley Inc. and go to Availability Manager Options, we can see that this particular availability options is set to notify the call-out engineer via SMS, via email, and send it to the service desk. So we want to make sure that the call-out list is populated and that the service desk email address is populated as well. So the first thing we'll check is the service desk email address. Now this is in the customer options. So if we click on the customer, hit service desk, and then edit, on the first page here we can see there's a service desk email address. This is the service desk for the customer. So populate that with an email address that the customer wishes to receive their notifications on, and then hit next until we get to the submit button and submit that change. And the last thing we want to check is that the call-out list has been populated. So I know there was no call-out list there previously because we created it as part of our alarm rule. So chances are we need to populate it. So if we click on Bagley Inc., we go to Availability Manager, Call-out Lists. If we just expand out all lists, there's Call-out List 1, which we've just created. And if we want to edit that, we can right-click on it, hit Edit. And at this point, we can see that the call-out list itself is active, and the available engineers for this list is an engineer called Technical Support. If we want to move that engineer into the call-out list, we just click and hold and drag that engineer across and drop them into the rank order. Now, as there's only one, we can see that Technical Support has a rank of 1. If there's multiple call-out engineers in this list, it'll create a hierarchy. So when the alarm is received, VSM will run its remediation steps against it, wait that 4 minutes. Once that's complete, if the alarm is still active, it's going to send an email to the service desk email address, and it's also going to start a hierarchy contacting the members of the call-out list. So the first member is going to get notified via email or SMS or both, And there's going to be a waiting period after that of 5 minutes for that person to respond to that alarm. If they don't respond, then it's going to send a notification through to that first person again and wait another 5 minutes. And if there's still no response to that, it's going to step down in the order. So if there was a second engineer within this callout list, that next person is then going to start receiving those callout notifications, and so on and so forth until the callout list is completed. So now that we've added that callout engineer there, we're going to save the changes. The callout list is now created. We have an alarm rule. We have a workflow. We have our contract is valid and it covers the equipment we wish to notify on. And our availability options are set as we would like them to be. And that's it. You're ready now to receive customer notifications directly to your end customers. Thank you for your time.